a lot of people now study concere as a style, as a method. They look at it as an approach to, you know, artistic expressions. So, and that's one thing that gladdens one's heart, that you've been able to create something that is peculiarly, that is uniquely your own and is African, in totality, in composition, and all ramifications. So that's how Concere came about. Let me say that this whole idea of doing what I call a one-man show, I mean, I have a profound upbringing and background in the arts. And like I said to you, I've started to put together all of this in, anytime you see me perform, like, talking about the whole idea of doing a show, putting every element of my artistic talents together as a one-man performer, actually was concretized in the year 1984. Even before 84, I'm saying officially it was 84, but without actually making it official, when I was in secondary school, I used to represent my school in what you call literary and debating society. That was in the 1970s. And those who knew me, then Lagos Secondary Commercial Academy, Baptist Academy, anywhere we performed, anywhere we showcased the literary and debating society activities, I would come up with my teddy beard in the 70s and have a dialogue. Me and myself, and of course, coupled with my teddy beard, would have, sometimes I even would do it alone, interacting with members of the audience. And it was something that they found very unique at that point. Before 84, that I made it, concretize the whole idea. I'm talking about 70, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7 in the 70s. Those who went to secondary school with me and those who were constant at the various programs of the literary and debating societies would testify to what I'm talking about. Okay, I now took it a notch higher when I now got to the University of Ibadan. I worked with the late, Sam Loco Efe, Kulefa Muriyo Jumeka Fashola, who is in England now. Joke Muiwa, Clarion Chukura, and my great professors, Professor Dakwade Lugba, Professor Femi Oshovison, and the rest of them, they understand the nature of what I do. My big oga, late Professor Bode Osonyi, that actually nurtured me here at the Center for Cultural Studies, University of Lagos. These are people who can testify to it. Besides, I have proofs. So, I don't like to contest, to put myself out there and say, but records keep telling me, Tunji, you look at your records. So if anybody feels that you started a tradition or a convention, okay, history is there. And there are records. So let people come out there. I am saying point blank and boldly here that, my one-man shows, I started to concretize and make it official from the year 1984. Okay? And then, having gone to get more exposure, both within and outside the country, at the various universities and participating at various workshops, I created quite a lot of things. My major solo performance was an experiment in 1987 when Ideas Communication with people like our big brother, Tunde Fagbenle, Segun Odegbami, and the rest of them, they were opening an advertising outfit, which is known as ideas communication, is there. You go and ask Big Brother Tunde Fagbenle is very much alive. Okay, that was when I actually started opening up on Molue, my Molue, conceptualized. From that point, I was experimenting. And then I took it again to several other places, Ijokwota, where you have writers coming to reflect and create ideas and write plays, and people will come and discuss their plays and sort of ask questions about how they came about creating their works. I presented Molue there. I think that was around 89. That was when the German Cultural Center saw that, and they said to me, this is great. And I said, fine, I'm going to do a proposal, so let's do it. And under the leadership, German Cultural Center, Goethe Institute now said, this is something unique. They hadn't seen it before. And they sponsored it to University of Ibadan. It was done in the University of Lagos. And I did quite a number of solo shows. Boromiro, which was sponsored by the Goethe Institute at the University of Ibadan and at the University of Ife. And I also did it in the UK. I've done quite a number of solo shows. And thank God, all of that were experiments. The late Uncle Steve Rhodes, Elder Steve Rhodes, also saw my show. And he said, Tunji, come and do this, at our program, Steve Rhodes Voices, which was an annual event. The late Steve Rhodes, Elder Steve Rhodes, our great-grandfather Steve Rhodes, wrote me a letter to commend me after that show, which I think took place at the, was it a hotel or something, Federal Palace or National Theatre, I can't remember the venue. But a letter was written to me to express the organization's appreciation of my wonderful performance. And of course, the late John Chukwu, who was, a renowned, compere, broadcaster, highly experienced comedian, also came to, the Steve Rhodes Voices program and said, look, I've not seen this before. We need to work together. He actually gave me Crips notes. He was praying me. He said, let's do a show. But unfortunately, I think a couple of weeks after that event, he passed on. So all of that is documented. I have documents. I could go on and on. I've done these shows, like I said, at different fora, both within and outside the country. Besides Molue, which was the very first one, I've created other solo shows. Boromiro, which in English means listen to my plight. You can literally translate it to mean listen to my plight. It's just saying, listen, theater is a highly significant discipline through which you can, create awareness, make people be conscious of the environment. My big brother, my friend, Odumakin, the first name now, not Joe Odumakin, the wife. I'm talking about Yinka Odumakin, when they invited me for the remembrance of, the late Chief Gani Fawemi. I did a one-man show as tribute. So, tribute to Gani, I have all of that documented. Before Chief Gani died, I did a one-man show for him. It was marveled. So, I have Mofo Ballet, which was, done in the UK at Goldsmith University, where I was doing a research. Mofo Ballet, meaning that I am consolidating. I'm consolidating on my various arts and artistic talents and ideas. Mofo Ballet is, and it's a play, it's a one-man show about human rights activists who have suffered, who have laid down their lives for, the progress of their communities and their people, just to emancipate the people. You have Shoyinka, Wole Shoyinka, our own great big father, grandfather, Wole Soyinka, in Mofobale consolidation. You have Mandela, the late Mandela, Madiba himself was also one of the characters in Mofobale. You have Martin Luther King in Mofobale. Who else? I'm talking about, you have Fela, the great Fela. So you look at this solid human rights activists using all the tools of arts, of voice, of speech to, as a way to emancipate the people. So I've worked so hard on solo shows. So going back to a question, creator, from the books that have been published, unfortunately, before the publication of some of these books, there have been all kinds of misinformation out there. And it's important to put it on record. So if, I was born in the 60s. So things that came up before me, I may not know. But I don't have evidence. We need to have things documented. I was told, according to the research that was conducted by Greg Mbajogu, who is a lecturer in the University of Nsukka, he was the very first person, that had done research on solo performance or solo shows or monodrama in Nigeria. And the records, the information, investigation, according to his investigation, he said the late Betty Okoti, wrote a play, and our big daddy, late Chief Wale Oguyemi, was the very first person that did. There was no dialogue. It was mime. That sort of marked the beginning of solo performance. I can't contest it. I can only say that if there is evidence, it will help me to educate myself and other people. Beyond that, my works are there. So I said, I'm not contesting, but my works are there, dated. So if you have created some things that are dated, come up with those information. Yes, some people may ask, what's the difference between solo performance and stand-up comedy? I can guarantee you that what I created, there's no way that you will not have a sense of humor, satire and comedy, as part of the components of my solo performance. So you may say, stand-up comedy may not entail the actor, acting it. You can just, create jibes, joke, just tell jokes. That's how I can describe stand-up comedy. But I'm saying this one is even much more comprehensive. It's the totality of the actor coming before an audience and doing a show that encapsulates that is a narrative of a particular experience of life, of people, of a person, of himself. It's more robust and organic in terms of the mode of presentation. But I can guarantee you that even stand-up comedy as an art form is contained in what I have in my works. Beside the experiment that I had done before 89 that the Goethe Institute sponsored it to make it a package and a comprehensive formal presentation, I said, let me do stand-up comedy. But again, I even realized that it's even much more than that. It has a richer, what you call, outlook in terms of presentation. So, so that was what and the very first one that I did, Richard Mofede Amijo, is still very much alive. He was the one who anchored it at the Center for Cultural Studies, University of Lagos in 1989. That was the very first, anybody who, can contest it to say you've done a major show from beginning to the end of, a proper, well-packaged, play containing, comedy and every other manner of expressing or narrating a story. I should come up with evidence. I mean, I give respect to those that have been there. I mean, our colleagues, in the other traditional mode of expression, like the late Benga Adeboye and the rest of them. I mean, he had his concept. Do you understand me? Quite a number of people, I mean, the Maxim Perempe, all of these were comedians who were doing their skits. The late Roxy Mayford was one great comedian who was doing a skit. Our father, the late Art Alade, was a huge humorous person who was anchoring the Barbie show then. He was doing his, but the point I'm making is that, I mean, I may be wrong, but I'm saying, when you say, look, let me announce to the world that I have conceptualized a style of comedy that, you can present as a show in one package and invite an audience to come and see it. I may be wrong, but I didn't know of anybody until I came up with the idea of Molwe. So I expect people to come up with evidence and proofs. Thank you.
Okay, in concluding, sir,
yeah.
Are there examples of maybe present day stand-up comedians who probably studied you and came up and can point at you and say or mention you as a mentor to what they are presently doing? Or are there people who mentored under you and who are currently performing as stand-up comedians or even soloists?
Let me say that quite a few who are honest and sincere with themselves are able to own up and say, look, this man is a huge inspiration to what I'm doing. Kofi is one of them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Kofi, apart from that, I see a very, very dishonest attitude in quite a number of other people. But Kofi is the only one anywhere he goes. But I'm not going to keep mentioning names of those that, you have inspired and, taken along with you in terms of nurturing. But if you own up, it's good for you. Do you understand? So I'm not going to say I did this today. It's not. I don't do that. You need to search your conscience. So that's the thing.